Welcome to Bassmaster Radio, presented by Phoenix Boats, the show for fishermen by fishermen. Today's show is brought to you by Enigma Fishing. Cast, catch, repeat. Visit Anderson, South Carolina, home of beautiful Lake Hartwell. Phoenix Boats, experience the difference. And by the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society. Now, here's lifetime BASS member Thom Abraham.
Yeah, welcome back. Phoenix Boats Bassmaster Radio. As this entire show, we're paying tribute to the great Aaron Martens, a three-time Angler of the Year, as we said in the open of the show. A guy who finished, in the top 10 time after time, I think 9 times in the Bassmaster Classic. He fished 20 classics and a heartbreaking second place 4 times, but a better man even than as a fisherman. And nobody knows this more than Mark Zona from Bassmaster Live and Zona's Awesome Fishing Show. And, I think that Aaron Martens has been on Zona's show probably more than anybody but Zona. And Mark Zona joins us now. Mark, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thom, I'm doing well. That's interesting you said that. We went back into the years of the times that Aaron had been on the show, and I didn't know this. I had no idea that he's been on. I thought Hackney was on more than anybody, but Aaron's been on all the way back to when Zona Show was not on the Outdoor Channel, back when it was on ESPN, and I was, Thom, everybody that has come in contact with Aaron, everybody has their own special feelings and memories of him, and I was lucky enough from a really shallow statement. I was lucky enough to catch a heck of a lot of bass with that dude, a heck of a lot of bass from all over the Southeast to up north and places I grew up and places that he lived, by in Alabama, and that, what's weird is I heard Mercer, I looked at something on the internet in the last day or two, and I was listening to Dave Mercer on his social media talk about Aaron. And I think Dave really, really harnessed what Aaron was to everybody. And when it's strange, it is still not real to me at all. And gosh, man, we were so lucky to have Aaron, not only in this industry, but just in our lives. I made a comment on a show that I shot with him on a place where you grew up, Thom. It was I shot a show with him on Thousand Island, and at the end of the show, I said, and this is years and years and years ago. I said, Aaron, on the water, Aaron's a badass. That was obvious. That he was unique and original on the water. And that's coming from a dude. I've covered, the Bassmaster Elite Series, where you're supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way, and really fish a certain way that you're supposed to on every lake. There's always a dominant way to fish. And Aaron always went against that. He always went against that. And that's original, man. And I hate to say it, there's a lot of unoriginality, if that's a word, in the fishing industry, and he was not that.
Yeah.
But I made a comment in that New York show so long ago that Aaron off the water made me a better person. Thom, we all, every now and then, you got to check yourself at the door, is what a lot of people say. After I was around Aaron, you checked yourself. You're like, man, I want to be more like that. And I'll tell you one story that I've not told this story at all in the last few days. And I thought about it this morning when I was out hunting. I shot a show, and this is for the kids that, in the last year or two see a flogger, the bathoscope thing that you look through for smallmouth.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron called me and he said, hey, I want you to show me this flogger thing that you've been using. And this is like 12 years ago, Thom. And I said, you know what? I'll show it to you. Let's go shoot a show. Doing it. And I found a mega load of deep spawners of the ones, Tom. You know, they don't get much bigger. They're 5 to 6 pounders.
Right.
And I'll never forget this, is Aaron getting down and looking through that thing, and he was a child. He was in amazement. He's just staring at them and looking at their behavior and their mannerisms, and that's who Aaron was. And Tom, you know this, man. Aaron's like, hey, I just want to look through this. You can catch them all.
Yeah.
Well, don't threaten me with time, Aaron. I'm all in. Well, halfway through the day, my camera guy, Wes Miller, is like, hey, dude, he needs to catch 1 or 2 bass on this show. And I, for some reason, I don't even know what the heck made me think of it, but that's what Aaron was. You know, he did not have an ego. And I remember looking at him in that show, and I'm like, hey, dude, you need to catch 1 or 2. He's like, man, I just really want to keep staring at him. And that's what Aaron was on the water. He was light years past other professionals that, you know, were, gosh, and you know what's funny is the tournaments that I called with Tommy that Aaron won. He won them in such unique fashion. We can go, you know, on and on and on about it, but man, the person he was off the water.
Yeah.
I look up to that.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to find.
Last week we mourned. This week we celebrate Aaron Martens and the great life that he had. And as a fisherman, he bristled at the notion that he was just a finesse guy or that he was a one-trick pony. And he gave us some of the most incredible footage ever. The Lake Havasu footage, the Furious Hog Snatcher pulling them out of land, basically. The bird pattern that he was on, the blackbird pattern that he was on. That's some of the most amazing footage that we've ever seen on Bassmaster Live or on the Bassmasters. And he was a power fisherman too. I mean, he had all of these different techniques that he could use. He taught a lot of us how to drop shot, really, how to do it effectively. Before it got, everybody was doing it. He was doing it. But he didn't want to be pigeonholed as a one-trick pony. He was a guy that could do it many, many different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other tournaments was Chesapeake Bay when he absolutely blew that tournament. I mean, it wasn't even close, Tom, but he also had his own, what was funny was I shot a show on Gunnersville, which I know is near and dear to your heart. And here's another goofy story that I'll always remember. Right in the morning, they're eating a frog really good. I mean, dude, who doesn't want to catch him on a frog, right? Aaron keeps saying, I need a buzzbait. I need a buzzbait. I know. Again, I'm calling cameraman Wes Miller out because Wes and we've talked since Aaron has passed, and he was a big part of our world in little Zona show world. I'll never forget this. He's going on and on and on and on and on about a buzzbait. But, dude, they're eating a frog. I mean, they're eating a frog. And I was like, Aaron, just throw the frog. And he's, no, bro. So he gets down, Tom. He gets down, and he works on a buzzbait for like 45 minutes while they're biting a frog. And I told him, I said, I wouldn't worry about that buzzbait. I'll never forget this. He gets this buzzbait to look. He tricks it out. It's so beautiful. He goes, that's it. He gets up. He makes one cast, and he goes, the hell with this buzzbait.
That would be Mark Zona with us talking about Aaron Martens. Now, I saw Aaron last in person last April, where he came out and fished a charity event on Gunnersville. Here was a guy that was fighting for his own life, and make no bones about it. If Aaron Martens wasn't in the condition, in the shape that he was in, if that's you or me, I mean, we'd have died in like 2 months. This guy lived 20 months with this brain tumor fighting it. But he came out to support a children's charity to help raise money for a children's hospital while he was fighting for his own life. A lot of guys just would have just wallowed in their own self and not done that. But that was the kind of guy he was. Sometime right around it, either right before or right after that, You shot a show that will air in the spring with Aaron Martens. Talk to us about that show, when we'll see it, and how this will be handled. We'll see it 6 months or so after he passed.
Aaron called me and he said, "Hey, let's go fishing." And I said, "Yeah, let's go fishing." And I said, "Where do you want to go?" And he said, "I want to go to Pickwick. I want to go to Pickwick. And I want, in Aaron's way, he said, "I want to go to Pickwick. I want to go in the next few days. It's going to be good. It's going to be right, and blah, blah, blah." And it was one of those shows that a little bit of a grinder to start with. And Tom, I can't make this up, but I knew Aaron was declining.
Yeah.
I fished with him enough. I knew he was not doing well. And we're, this is no joke. We're catching 3-pounders and 3.5-pounder, and a good one in that show is, it would have been a 4-pounder. And Tom, I'm not kidding when I say this. It was the last cast on a spot where we had caught nothing bigger than 4 pounds. It was the last cast of the show. Aaron catches an 8-pounder, and I'm like the whole boat. It was surreal.
Yeah.
And that was the last time that we got fishing together. And he when that show that's going to air is we cut some different stuff last week. The crew did, where I sat down and I got to talk about the last 15 years fishing with Aaron and all of those shows that were so quirky and awesome and fun and man, Tom, I was lucky. I'm lucky. I think about his family, Jordan, Spencer, Leslie, so much. And again, if you've come in contact with that guy, you are so lucky to come in contact with one of the best human beings I've ever known in my entire life.
Yeah, and you helped me. I mean, totally changed my attitude towards him, because I remember it. It was the Pittsburgh Classic, and I remember contacting you during the Classic, texting you or something, and saying, "Man, it seems like he's whining a lot," and he kept having one heartbreak after another, and I'm like, "What's up with this?" And you're like, "You don't know him. He's a sweetheart. He's this, he's that." And then after that, I had him on 3 or 4 times on Bassmaster Radio, and he was always generous, gracious, funny, and yeah, quirky, and he just looked at the world a little bit differently. And I'd never forget him going on for 5 minutes about the foot, and just telling me about how perfect the foot was to fish on, and how you don't need to wear shoes. You should fish barefoot. And I'm like, well, Aaron, I'm like 80 pounds overweight. You're like a biker, okay? So I need something on my feet. I know Zona fishes in his socks, and you fish barefoot, but that ain't happening. But, he was just always that kind of a guy, and he turned into a friend, and I felt like it was very, very important to talk to you because of all the time that you spent with him. I wish we could go on and on and on. We could do the whole show just with Mark Zona, but we're running out of time. You know how that works with the clock. But, Z, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it. I know it's tough, and I am so happy that you shot a show with him last spring, and I cannot wait to see that show.
I am too, Tom. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back and wrap it up. This is Phoenix Boats Bassmaster Radio on the Bassmaster Radio Network.